Your entire life does not depend on believing another prediction today. It depends on whether you recognize the pattern that has been making your decisions before you do. A breakthrough does not have to disappear for you to lose it. Sometimes it only has to arrive while your mind is exhausted, your attention is divided, and your fear is pretending to be discernment. Chosen one, you have felt this conflict. One part of you senses change. Another part keeps asking for one more sign. You open the message, then close it. You write the plan, then hide it. You almost send the email, then decide tomorrow will feel clearer. You call this patience. You call it wisdom. But sometimes waiting is not obedience. Sometimes waiting is protection from the risk of moving. This message is not here to frighten you. It is not here to promise that everything changes tonight. It is here to expose 4 hidden locks between spiritual insight and practical movement. The first lock is already working inside the way you have been waiting. Before this message ends, you will understand why important action makes you suddenly tired or distracted. You will see why breakthrough often arrives through a door that looks too small to matter. You will learn why success can feel unsafe, even after years of praying for it. And you will receive a practical way to move with greater clarity. There is something you need to know first. The mind does not always search for truth. When it feels threatened, it searches for safety. That shift can happen quietly before you notice it. Then fear begins to speak in a voice that sounds calm, spiritual, and reasonable. It says you need more confirmation. It says the timing is not perfect. It says you should prepare a little longer. Yet every extra day gives your fear more evidence that delay is normal. Temporary safety slowly becomes a permanent season. Think about the last important step you delayed. Maybe it was a conversation. Maybe it was an application. Maybe it was a decision you already understood. What did you truly need in that moment? More information or protection from what the information required? That question matters. You are not weak because uncertainty affects you. You are not faithless because movement feels dangerous. A part of you may have learned that action creates exposure, while waiting reduces pain. That pattern once helped you survive disappointment, but a pattern that protected you before can limit you now. This is the first value of this message. You do not need to condemn the part of you that hesitates. You need to recognize what it is trying to protect. When the hidden fear is named, the false urgency becomes quieter. When the fear becomes quieter, real discernment becomes easier. Chosen one, do not declare that a miracle is guaranteed. Make a more honest declaration. Write, I am willing to see clearly. Not because a comment creates a miracle, because naming your willingness is the first movement out of hiding. There are 4 locks. The first begins with a behavior many people praise: waiting. In the next part, you will see when waiting is sacred, and when waiting becomes a shelter that keeps you outside the door you asked God to open. There is a form of waiting that strengthens you. It teaches patience, humility, and restraint. It keeps you from forcing doors that do not belong to you. But there is another form of waiting. It looks spiritual on the surface, while fear quietly controls it underneath. You ask God for confirmation. Wise counsel confirms the direction. Still, you search for another message, another sign, and another feeling of certainty. Days pass. The door does not slam shut. You simply remain outside it. This is the first hidden lock. It is called the waiting reflex. The waiting reflex begins after disappointment. Perhaps you trusted someone and were betrayed. Perhaps you acted boldly and failed. Perhaps you believed a season would change, but nothing happened as expected. Then, it created a simple rule. Do not move until there is no possibility of being hurt. That rule sounds wise. It is also impossible. No meaningful decision arrives without uncertainty. No calling unfolds with every answer visible. So the mind creates a delay that feels responsible. It asks for perfect clarity, because perfect clarity can never be reached. You may have called yourself lazy. You may have accused yourself of lacking discipline. You may have wondered whether God forgot you. But the deeper pattern may be different. You were not refusing your future. You were protecting a wound that had never been named. Not sending the message meant you could not be rejected. Not applying meant you could not be judged. Not beginning meant you could not fail. And not choosing meant you could keep imagining every possible life without risking one real life. Waiting protected you then. Waiting may be limiting you now. This does not mean every delay is wrong. Discernment and evidence still matter. But wisdom examines a door and reaches a conclusion. Fear examines the same door forever. Ask yourself one honest question. What decision have I kept open because closing it would make me visible? Choose one situation, a call you have avoided, a form you have not completed, a boundary you have not spoken, a page you have not written. Let the truth become specific, because vague fear grows stronger while specific fear can be examined. Now use the reversible step rule. Do not make the largest decision today. Make the smallest step that creates real information. Send one email, ask one question, book one conversation, write one page, submit one draft. A reversible step does not trap you. It teaches your mind that movement can happen without catastrophe. This is how agency returns. Not through reckless confidence. Agency returns when you act within wisdom before certainty becomes complete. Peter did not wait for the water to become solid. He did not receive a map of every wave. He received enough instruction for one step. The storm still existed, yet movement revealed what standing still could never teach. Your first step may not change your whole life today. It may only break the agreement between fear and delay. That is enough. Once that agreement is broken, waiting becomes a choice again, instead of an automatic reflex. Right, I release the need for perfect certainty. You are not promising to enter every door. You are choosing to stop using uncertainty as a reason to examine none of them. But another lock appears when you are willing to move and still cannot think clearly. You sit down, and your focus disappears. You know something matters, yet your mind cannot hold it. That is where the next truth begins. You can be willing to move and still feel unable to begin. You sit down with a clear intention. Then your attention scatters. You read the same sentence again. You reach for your phone without deciding to reach for it. The task matters, but your mind refuses to stay with it. You may forget a word while speaking. You may open several pages and finish none. Prayer can feel similar. Your heart is sincere, but your thoughts keep breaking the moment into pieces. Many people turn this experience into a judgment. They call themselves lazy. They assume they are getting old. They believe God has stopped speaking. But confusion is not always a spiritual verdict. Sometimes the receiver is overloaded. This is the second hidden lock. It is called the receiver gap. The receiver gap is the distance between what you understand and what your mind can hold long enough to use. A message can reach you. Its meaning can feel true, yet fragmented attention weakens the connection between insight and action. The pattern moves quietly. The message is received. Attention breaks. Meaning weakens. The decision is postponed. Self-blame increases. Then the fog becomes part of your identity. You begin saying, "This is just who I am now." You remember being sharper when you were younger. Now, every important thought seems to arrive through resistance. That does not mean your gift is gone. It does not mean your calling disappeared. Your mind may have adapted to a world that divides attention all day. Stress, poor sleep, constant input, and repeated interruption can make clear thinking harder, even when your desire remains strong. The message may not have been absent. Your capacity to hold it may have been exhausted. Pause for a moment. Notice your forehead. Notice the muscles around your eyes. Notice whether your shoulders are lifted. Let your jaw soften. Breathe out slowly. And feel the difference between urgency and clarity. Now, use a simple receiver reset. Place your phone beyond reach. Give yourself 3 minutes without new input. Write one question on paper. Then write the shortest, honest answer you already know. Do not solve your entire life. Choose one action that takes less than 10 minutes. This practice is small for a reason. Clarity returns when the mind holds one thing at a time. One question, one answer, one step. If you have been blaming your character for what may partly be overload, write, "My fog is not my identity." Let that sentence create distance between your current condition and your permanent name. There is something else I want you to hold before we go deeper. Researchers and clinicians have spent decades examining what changes when different regions of the mind stop operating like isolated competitors and begin working with greater coordination. A neurologist in New York later helped develop an 8-minute auditory protocol built around that idea. It is not the answer to every problem. It does not replace prayer, sleep, wise counsel, or medical care. But it raises an important question about the condition in which clarity is received. I will explain what the protocol is, what it is not, and why some people choose to use it later in this message. For now, hold this question. What becomes possible when the receiver is no longer fighting itself? Let the question remain open. Fog is not the only reason people miss what is in front of them. Even a clear mind can overlook an opportunity when it has been trained to expect breakthrough in only one form. You may be waiting for a large door, while the real beginning is standing beside you in a form that looks too small to matter. A clear mind can still miss an open door. That happens when the door does not match the picture you have carried for years. You expected a dramatic answer. You expected sudden certainty. You expected the opportunity to feel unmistakable. Instead, it arrived quietly, and you dismissed it because it looked ordinary. This is the third hidden lock. It is called the breakthrough blind spot. The breakthrough blind spot forms when expectation becomes a filter. You create an image of how change should appear. Then, your attention searches only for that image. Anything smaller, slower, or less impressive is pushed aside before you examine its value. You may be waiting for one perfect offer, yet the beginning may be a short conversation. You may be waiting for complete financial freedom, yet the first door may be a skill that increases your options. You may be waiting for a clear calling, yet the first instruction may be to finish the work already in your hands. This does not mean every interruption is an instruction. It does not mean every opportunity comes from God. Discernment still includes evidence, wisdom, character, and consequence. But discernment cannot evaluate what expectation refuses to notice. Joseph did not move from the pit to the palace in one visible leap. There were smaller rooms between those places. There were responsibilities that looked unrelated to the promise. There were moments when faithfulness developed before influence appeared. The prison was not the final destination. It was also not meaningless. In that hidden place, Joseph practiced the gift that later opened a greater door. The breakthrough did not begin with a crown. It began with usefulness in a place that felt beneath the promise. Look back at your own life. Some doors were not meant to stay open. Some delays protected you. Some rejections redirected you. But there may also have been small openings you ignored because they did not feel important enough. That does not mean you ruined your destiny. It means you can train your attention differently now. You can stop asking only, "Is this the final answer?" You can begin asking, "Does this step create skill, connection, information, or honest movement?" Use the small door test. First, ask whether the opportunity agrees with your values and responsibilities. Second, ask whether it gives you useful skill, connection, or knowledge. Third, ask whether the first step can be reversed. Fourth, ask whether you are declining from wisdom or from fear of being seen. Do not rush your answer. Imagine a quiet morning several months from now. Your phone is face down. You are not searching for another message. You open an email that once made you hesitate, and you answer it with calm attention. You do not know the whole outcome, but you are participating in your life instead of watching it from a distance. That is what movement feels like at first. It is not always dramatic. It is often simple, specific, and slightly uncomfortable. A small door does not promise the whole road. It only gives you enough truth for the next decision. There is one more lock, and it is the most hidden. It appears after the door begins to open. You gain momentum, then suddenly lose focus. You start well, then create conflict, delay, or distraction. You may call it self-sabotage. But beneath it, something deeper is asking whether success is safe. The next lock does not appear when everything is falling apart. It often appears when something finally begins to work. You receive interest. You gain momentum. Someone notices your ability. Then your energy changes. You delay the reply. You start a needless argument. You return to a habit you had outgrown. You may call this weakness. You may call it bad discipline. But the deeper mechanism is more human and more changeable. This is the success safety lock. The success safety lock activates when progress threatens the identity that learned how to survive without progress. Failure may hurt, but it is familiar. Expansion may be beautiful, but it is unknown. The mind often chooses familiar pain before unfamiliar possibility. Success can make you visible. Visibility invites judgment. Success can create responsibility. Responsibility removes excuses. Success can change relationships. People who understood your struggle may not understand your growth. So you slow yourself down. Not because you hate the blessing, not because you want to fail. You are protecting the version of yourself that knew how to survive without receiving it. You were not rejecting the blessing. You were protecting an identity that felt safe. Think about the moments when progress became real. Did you suddenly become exhausted? Did you become unusually critical? Did you focus on one small problem until the larger opportunity disappeared? Did you create distance from people who supported your growth? Your system may connect growth with danger, separation, or loss. That pattern can change. Start by making expansion smaller. Choose one action that stretches you without overwhelming you. Name what you fear success will take away. Then name what can remain. Your integrity can remain. Your compassion can remain. Your faith can remain. Growth does not require you to abandon every part of your past. Place one hand over your chest. Open the other hand gently. Name the thing you fear losing if life changes. Then name what you choose to carry forward. Feel the difference between receiving and surrendering your identity. Use the expansion safety protocol. Choose one small change. Tell one trusted person what you are doing. Break the action into a short period of focused effort. When you finish, notice that you moved forward and remained safe. This is how the body learns a new truth. Movement does not always create catastrophe. Visibility does not always create rejection. Responsibility does not always destroy freedom. A larger life can still be an honest life. If you are skeptical, you do not need to believe that a breakthrough is guaranteed. Examine whether this pattern has shaped your decisions. If you have waited for years, you do not need another ritual. You may need to help safety and movement exist together. If you feel unworthy, hear this clearly. Missing one opportunity does not disqualify you from recognizing the next. A delayed response is not a permanent identity. The next wise step still belongs to you. Earlier, I asked what becomes possible when the receiver stops fighting itself. I waited, because a tool means little before the problem is understood. You now see the full pattern. Insight can be present, while attention remains fragmented. Opportunity can be present, while fear delays movement. Why does knowing this still fail to create change for many people? Why can someone recognize every lock and return to the same fog tomorrow? The answer is not another idea. It concerns the condition in which ideas are received, connected, and translated into action. You now understand why the pattern repeats. The problem is not simply a lack of information. You may already know what matters. But the waiting reflex delays action, the receiver gap fragments attention, the breakthrough blind spot rejects small doors, and the success safety lock makes expansion feel dangerous. The shift is simple. Move from perfect certainty to a reversible step. Move from self-blame to care for the receiver. Move from waiting for one dramatic door to examining the small door in front of you. Move from fearing expansion to teaching your mind that growth can remain safe. You are not becoming someone who chases every opportunity. You are becoming someone who can discern, decide, and respond with integrity. Being chosen is not a passive title. It is the responsibility to remain present when a real decision arrives. The clarity you received is real, but clarity that disappears before action remains only a beautiful thought. The door is visible. What remains is strengthening the receiver that must walk through it. Earlier, I mentioned research into what happens when different parts of the mind work with greater coordination. Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize in 1981 for research involving the divided brain and specialized functions across the hemispheres. That research did not prove a commercial audio product. It did help shape later conversations about coordination across the brain. Human thought is more complex than the popular idea of a left brain person or a right brain person. Both sides interact, and clear performance depends on networks working together. A woman from California described that kind of distance. She had used prayer, journaling, and meditation, but still felt separated from the meaning she believed. After using the resource, she reported feeling clearer and more connected. That is her experience, not a guarantee. A man from Texas described a different problem. His mind felt foggy, and ordinary decisions consumed too much energy. After using the same resource, he reported stronger focus and greater ease in his work. His account is also a personal testimonial shared by the provider. The team calls the resource the Genius Switch. The Genius Switch is a digital auditory sequence designed for 8 minutes each day. Wear headphones, close your eyes, relax. Listen to the full sequence. The provider says the technology is designed around neural synchronization and greater coordination between the hemispheres. It is not presented as a binaural beat track. It is not a meditation application. It is not a replacement for medical treatment, healthy sleep, prayer, or responsible action. The provider describes it as a targeted auditory sequence, created with the involvement of neurologist Dr. Daniel Barone and his team in New York. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who is ready to stop treating fog as a permanent identity and who wants a simple daily practice that may support clearer attention. The provider compares the resource with expensive forms of neurofeedback. Some sessions can cost hundreds of dollars, and home equipment can cost thousands. Their listed price was $49. On the current offer page described in the product material, the price is $39. The purchase includes 4 digital bonuses: a guided visualization, a grocery guide, a classic manifestation book, a printable guide covering 5 daily habits. The provider also states that the purchase includes lifetime access and a money-back guarantee. Read the current terms before deciding, because pricing, bonuses, and conditions can change. Do not act because you feel pressured. The greater cost is not missing a discount. It is allowing delay to make every decision for you. If the resource interests you, examine it while your mind is calm. Ask whether it fits your goals, health needs, and budget. The link in the description and the pinned comment leads to the page identified by the provider as official. Read every detail. Review the claims and guarantee. Make the decision from clarity, not pressure. If the idea of supporting your attention with a simple 8-minute practice resonates, the resource is there to examine. The tool is optional. Your responsibility to live with wisdom, courage, and attention is not. The tool does not replace God. It does not replace sleep, wise counsel, medical care, disciplined action, or obedience. No audio can choose for you. At most, a resource may support the state from which you choose. The deeper work remains yours. You must stop hiding inside endless preparation. You must stop calling every delay discernment. You must learn how to return to clarity, especially when fear becomes loud and the next step feels exposed. There is a simple method for that. It is called the clear step method. First, calm the receiver. Give yourself 2 quiet minutes without new input. Put the phone away. Let your breathing slow. Relax your jaw and shoulders. Do not make an important decision while panic is controlling your attention. Second, locate the real decision. Write 1 sentence. What am I actually delaying? Do not describe your entire life. Do not list 10 problems. Name the one decision that keeps returning when the room becomes quiet. Third, examine the fear. Ask what you believe movement could cost you. Are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid of being seen? Are you afraid success will change a relationship? Fear becomes easier to evaluate when it has a specific name. Fourth, act reversibly. Choose a step that creates information without trapping you. Send the question, request the meeting, finish the draft, review the agreement. A wise small action is often more useful than another week of imagined outcomes. Fifth, review the evidence. Notice what actually happened. Do not let the first wave of emotion become a final verdict. Some discomfort means you are leaving a familiar pattern. It does not always mean you made the wrong choice. Consider your career. You do not need to leave your job tonight. Update the document. Ask about the role. Send 1 application. Let the next piece of evidence guide the decision that follows. Consider a relationship. You do not need to decide the entire future in 1 conversation. Name 1 issue clearly. Ask 1 honest question. Listen to the response without rewriting it into what you hope to hear. Consider your calling. You do not need a perfect audience or perfect timing. Complete 1 page. Record 1 draft. Share 1 piece with someone trustworthy. Movement creates feedback, and feedback gives clarity a place to grow. Consider money. Do not enter an opportunity because urgency is loud. Examine the cost, examine the terms, examine the possible loss. Wisdom does not fear questions, and a sound decision can survive careful attention. This is how you leave the role of the permanent waiter. You do not chase every door. You stop allowing fear to reject every door before wisdom can examine it. Right, I release the role of the permanent waiter. That sentence is not a promise to move recklessly. It is a commitment to stop using delay as your only form of safety. You can pause without disappearing. You can examine without surrendering. You can decide without knowing the entire future. The final movement of this message is not about what you will buy. It is about who you become when clarity is no longer a rare feeling, but a practiced way of living. Imagine an ordinary morning several months from now. Light enters through the curtain. Your phone is face down. You wake before the alarm, and there is no heavy argument waiting inside your mind. You do not know every answer. But one thing has changed. You can hold a thought long enough to act on it. Your breathing is deeper, your shoulders are softer. An idea arrives, and you write it down before outside voices divide it. You complete 1 meaningful task before checking whether anyone approves. Your choices become calmer. You stop saying yes from guilt. You stop saying no from fear. Confidence grows from evidence because you have watched yourself make honest decisions and survive uncertainty. This is what a chosen life looks like in practice. Not constant certainty, It is the ability to return to clarity and move with integrity. If you are in a safe place, close your eyes. Place both feet on the floor. Let your hands rest. Breathe out slowly. Do not force a special feeling. Simply become present. Imagine a long hallway. Several doors stand before you. Some are large and impressive, but they are locked. One smaller door is near you. It is open a little, and a quiet line of light reaches the floor. There is no sign above it, yet you can see enough to step closer. That small door does not represent a reckless decision. It represents an action that creates more truth. You do not need to know the whole room behind it. You only need to ask whether the next step agrees with your values and responsibility. Place one hand over your chest. Notice your breathing. Say quietly, "I do not need panic to move." Say, "I do not need perfect certainty to take a wise step." Say, "Clarity can be quiet." Imagine your hand touching the door. You do not force it. You open it enough to see what the next honest action requires. Maybe it requires a message. Maybe it requires a boundary. Maybe it requires rest before a decision. Maybe it requires a conversation you have avoided. Let one action come into focus. Hold that action without judging it. Let your body learn that seeing a step does not mean losing control. You can move slowly. You can gather evidence. You can leave an old pattern. For the person who felt something stir when the condition of the receiver was discussed, the resource from the team of Dr. Barone remains in the description and pinned comment. Review it carefully and choose freely. Whether you use that resource or not, do not leave this moment without choosing the small door that deserves examination. The product is optional. The decision to live with greater attention belongs to you. Why can someone know what is right and still remain still? Because insight, safety, and attention have not yet learned to work together. When they begin working together, action no longer needs hype. It becomes a series of calm responses. Your breakthrough does not have to be one dramatic event. It can begin as a chain of honest decisions. One clear thought, one tested door, one faithful step, then another. Open your eyes when you are ready. Carry the action with you. Do not turn it into another idea you admire and postpone. Give it a place in the real world before this day ends. You do not need another promise before this message closes. You need to remember what has been revealed. The waiting reflex turned delay into protection. The receiver gap allowed attention to break apart. The breakthrough blind spot made small doors look unimportant. The success safety lock made growth feel dangerous. None of those patterns means you are abandoned. None of them means your future is closed. They mean your next season requires more than hope. It requires attention, discernment, and one honest response at a time. Your breakthrough is not guaranteed by a message, but your ability to recognize and answer life can be strengthened. Not every door belongs to you, yet fear no longer needs permission to reject every door before wisdom can examine it. Receive these next words as a prayerful invitation, not a prediction. My child, I am not asking you to control the future. I am asking you to stop surrendering the present to fear. Walk with wisdom. Test what is before you. Keep your heart humble, but do not call hiding obedience. Let these words become your declaration. I am not abandoned in the waiting. I am not defined by fog. I do not need the entire path before taking a faithful step. I release the need for perfect certainty. I recognize fear when it borrows the language of wisdom. I can grow without betraying who I have been. I can receive without losing my integrity. I can examine a door without forcing it open. I can move without panic. I am willing to see clearly. I am willing to act wisely. I am becoming someone who can recognize, receive, and responsibly carry what comes next. If this is the declaration you are carrying forward, right, I move with clarity. Let those words become a commitment. Do not chase every opportunity. Do not surrender every possibility to fear. Choose the step you named, put it into your calendar, send the message, write the page, ask the question. Let the action become small enough to begin and real enough to create evidence. May your mind become quiet enough to recognize what is true. May your heart become steady enough to release what is not. May your next step be honest and aligned with the person God is forming you to become. The door does not need to reveal the entire road. You do not need to carry tomorrow before it arrives. For today, let the next faithful step be enough.